Well, hello, it's good to see you again on this Wednesday evening check-in. I'm filming this a few minutes early today because at the end of our time together, I want to share a song with you that might not be familiar to you, and so I want to be able to provide the lyrics on the screen, so I'm doing that ahead of time. But whether you're joining me at 6 on Wednesday or sometime later, thank you so much for joining in. Over the past couple of months, we have been looking in the Gospel of John, and today's no different. We're going to look in chapter 7, and the verse that I want us to focus on is verse 37. Let anyone who is thirsty, Jesus said, come to me. Jesus said, let anyone who's thirsty come to me. I want to ask you, have you ever been thirsty? Really needing something to drink? When I was in graduate school, I took a class on wilderness camping, and we spent a weekend at Otter Creek, which is outside of Louisville. There, we were going to prepare our own meals. We were building our fires from scratch, no matches, doing everything, the primitive type way. And we packed our water in, but we miscalculated the amount of water we needed. So we ran out of water the night before we were to hike out of the camping area back to our vehicles. So I remember cleaning up and everything on the night and brushing the teeth without water, and the next morning doing the same thing and snacking for breakfast. And then we planned on hiking out, but it ended up being about 15 or 20 degrees warmer than we thought it was going to be. And so we were hot and tired and thirsty. And when we got to our vehicles, we said, okay, the first place we see, we're stopping to get something to drink, because everybody just felt like they were going to blow away. Guess what we ran into? We came to an A&W root beer stand, and they even had the frosty mugs. Now, I love root beer. And the deal was you pay for the frosty mug and you get as much root beer as you want. So I think I refilled my frosty mug 6 to 8 times. I mean, that's more root beer than anybody ought to drink in one sitting. Too much sugar, of course. I mean, I think I ruined my lunch and maybe supper too. But that tasted, when I was that thirsty, that tasted like the best thing I'd ever had in my life. But the deal is, you know the way thirst works. Guess what? I was thirsty again in a matter of time. Jesus uses this need, this feeling that we know, to describe what he can provide in our lives. He said, let anyone who is thirsty come to me. That was in the 7th chapter of John. This is an image that is used throughout Scripture. I think of 2 instances in the Psalms that remind us of how God provides for hunger and for thirst. The first one's in the 23rd Psalm. You remember the way this begins. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. You get this image of God providing everything that we need from the turbulence of life, green pastures, still waters. What more could a sheep want, right? The second one that comes to my mind is more directly related to thirst, and it's Psalm chapter 42. As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. Augustine said a few hundred years after Christ, our hearts are restless until we rest in you, O God. There's this emptiness, there's this hunger, there's this thirst that no matter what we try to fill it with, it never will be filled, never will be satisfied until we fill it with you, O God. That's what Augustine said. And so in that 7th chapter of John, Jesus is there in Jerusalem for a festival, and he has the opportunity to talk to people and to answer questions and to teach and maybe do a little preaching. And everybody's amazed at his abilities, and they wonder, gosh, this guy's not an educated man. Where does he get this? And the Pharisees are looking on, and they're saying, we need to arrest this man. We can't have this. We've got to control this. And so a group of Pharisees go to arrest Jesus, and they listen to him talk, and they decide not to. And their superiors say, why didn't you arrest him? And they said, no one's ever talked to us like that before. We've never heard it like that. And in the course of those conversations, people were drawn to Jesus, including Pharisees. Nicodemus shows up again in this chapter. And Jesus says, let anyone who is thirsty come to me. I can satisfy those deep thirsts and hunger and that longing in your life. Maybe you remember just a few weeks ago when we met the woman at the well, and she met Jesus, and Jesus asked her for a drink, and she wonders why he, a Jewish man, would ask her, a Samaritan woman, for water. And he said, if you knew who was asking you, you would ask me for a drink, because I'll give you living water. And if you taste of this, you'll never thirst again. Maybe as this new year has begun, you recognize deep longings and thirst in your own life and hunger. Maybe you have fear and anxiety. What if you hear these words from Jesus? If you're thirsty, come to me. Anyone who's thirsty, come to me. I recognize as I look around our community, as I think about my own family even, we've all experienced some kind of great loss in this past year. All of us have had some kind of disruption. All of us have been separated from somebody we love. All of us have situations that didn't turn out the way we'd hoped or planned. And in those spots and in that place, maybe we can remember these words Jesus said to his followers, anyone who is thirsty, come to me. Come to me, anyone who is thirsty. I want to encourage you, sometime this week, turn your heart, turn your eyes, turn your mind toward Jesus. Lift up those things that scare you. Lift up those places where you feel lost. Lift up the people that you love who need God's attention and care in their lives. Cry out for mercy for our country, for our leadership. You know, we're just so wounded right now, and our leaders haven't really helped. And so perhaps the followers of Christ can be peacemakers and can speak truth and can show love and kindness. Jesus said, come to me, anyone who is thirsty. Anyone, come to me. There you'll find your thirst quenched, your hunger satisfied, your loneliness cured, your heart filled. You'll find God's mercy coming to Jesus. The song that I want to share this evening is one that I learned years ago from the group For Him. One of the members of the group wrote this song. It's entitled Living Water, Bread of Life, and you'll hear allusions to a couple of the scriptures that I've read in these last few minutes together. And I encourage you just to hum along, sing along, read the lyrics that I'll put on the screen. Use this as a response and a reminder of Jesus' invitation to you. His invitation is, if you're thirsty, come to me. I'll give you a drink. Like Jesus told the woman at the well, I'll give you living water and you'll never thirst again. I have a feeling that you need to hear that in your life in some way today. And so I hope you enjoy this song. Like a deer panting for the water, I was thirsting for so long, I was so dry. So I set out on my journey, not sure what I would find, but I found an everlasting river of life. just like falling rain. I will never thirst again. Living water, bread of life, come and quench this thirst within me. Fill this hunger deep inside. For so long I have been empty, nothing else will satisfy. You alone are what I need, Lord. Living water, bread of life. I had looked this whole world over for the answer, wanting just to fill this void inside. All the things that were material, they could not satisfy, for my hungering was for the bread of life. Ooh, it came like manna from above. I can never get enough. Living water, bread of life, come and quench this thirst within me. Fill this hunger deep inside. For so long I have been empty, nothing else will satisfy. You alone are what I need, Lord. Living water, bread of life. Living water, bread of life. God bless you, and thank you for joining me this evening. And remember these words of Jesus: let anyone who is thirsty come to me. Have a great night.